Recently saw this example. Man was 58 years old. He has 970,000 saved, which is he basically was his goal to get to a million. He's 58. He wants to wait till age 65 to begin taking Social Security. How might his numbers look? Folks, and what we do on this channel is actually run the numbers for people. We set up all kinds of different spreadsheets and we run numbers and show you all these important financial concepts that you really need to know. So in this video, we're going to actually run some numbers for somebody in this situation. What we do is use the numbers for the last 100 years for the S&P 500. We figure the market going forward is not going to be any worse or any better than what's happened over the last 100 years. You're going to come up with a range. So let's go ahead and use the numbers. Again, he's got 970,000 saved up. 970,000. He's going to take Social Security. He wants to wait till age 65. He's 58 right now, and according to his Social Security statement, he's going to get 1,970, and this is at age 67, but he's taken at age 65. But during the next 7 years, that 1970 will actually grow, and we're going to give it a COLA of 2.5%, which is what it was in 2025, Social Security COLA. So in the next 7 years, this 1,970 is going to grow to 2,342. But remember, that's at age 67. So here we see age 67, he would get 2,342 in 7 years, given this 2.5% COLA each year. But since he's taken age 65, he's going to get 2,030. So let's go ahead and put in 2,030. And the first 7 years, he's not going to take it. So let's go ahead and see. He wants to take out $5,800 a month, which would be $69,600, just short of $70,000. He figures his needs are. We're going to do a 60-40 asset allocation. Just showing you some of the stuff we're going to do. We're going to give him a 3% COLA, so he starts out with a $5,800. The first 7 years, that's going to increase by 3% a year, and finally, in the 8th year, this 2030 is going to kick in. So he's going to need 2030 less than he did the year before. So you can see it, the 69.26 growing by 3%, but then you take 2030 off of that. So he's going to need 4,896 from his nest egg, and that'll increase by 3% a year. So we're going to go ahead and run the numbers to see how it might work out using numbers for the last 100 years. I can tell you right now, it's not going to work out the best because here's the withdrawal percentage, folks, 7.18%. That's really high. It's way above the 4% rule. And even after Social Security kicks in, it's going to be 6% to it. So we can tell you right now, you're going to have a failure rate probably uncomfortably high. We'll go ahead and run the numbers here. We're going to see what you have after 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. You have a 21% failure rate after 20 years. This is the actual graph. Again, using numbers for the last 100 years, you have problems if we had returns like the Depression years, like 1937, the late 60s and early 70s, and also around the year 2000. Again, if we have returns like these red ones right here, these red ones, and of course the Depression years, that's when you run into problems. But again, this is what he's projecting that he needs to have. He wants to wait till age 65. What could he do differently? It might change things. What we like to do in this channel is be as realistic as we can. And what we've found from all kinds of different studies is generally when people first retire, they spend most of their money the first decade, and then they start cutting back. They call these the go-go years, and then the next decade is the slow-go years, and finally when they reach their late 70s, early 80s, those are the no-go years. And that generally holds true for most people. When they first retire, they want to get all that traveling done and all those big things they wanted to do, maybe buy a boat or whatever. But then as they settle into retirement in that second decade, they tend to cut back. So what we're going to do is run what often people say to do. Go ahead and cut it by 10%, and also the second decade by 10%. Just trying to be realistic here. So we also want to look at that's 7.18. Now we're down to 5.96%. Let's go ahead and update this. Right now we got a 21% failure rate before we did these cutbacks, before we changed these decades amounts that you're taking out. Let's see how those numbers work out. Again, the 21% failure rate, how much does it change when you cut back the second and third decades? Now we're down to 12%. That's a lot more bearable. Looks like you don't have any problems during the 70s. It gets a little bit low. Again, we got the Depression years in the year 2000 because those were the worst cases in the last 100 years where you had 3 down years and then down 37%. course, we all know what happened during the Depression years. We had all these down years. So right now we're sitting in fairly good shape and have an 87.7% success rate after 20 years and a 73% success rate after 30 years. What else could we do here? Often people recommend if you have a down year, the very next year, you don't take the COLA that you were planning on because the market's gone down. So we're going to go ahead and do what's called taking a negative COLA. What that means is during good years, after good years, we'll go ahead and stick with the 3% COLA. But after a down year, of course, you won't know to the end of the year. After a down year, you're going to take a 3% negative COLA. So it actually goes down a little bit. For example, 1929, 1930, when it went down in 1929, it went from 6,528 down to 6,332 and so on. And let's see how that might help these numbers right here if you're not comfortable with an 87% success rate. Again, we need $5,800 a month. We're doing a 60-40 split, and we're doing a 3% COLA. Unless it's a negative year, then we take a negative 3% COLA. Look at the difference it made, folks. It made all the difference in the world. In the last 100 years, you would not run out of money in 20 years. In fact, the only time you actually ran out of money was 1929 because that was you can see these down right there. And even then, your money lasted over 20 years. So you had a 98.6% success rate. Every other year, you can see these millions of dollars down through here. You'd be in just fine shape. So it looks like, given the numbers that he was asked to run, it looks like this 970,000 would be just fine, taking Social Security at age 65, even though he's retiring at age 58. Those first 7 years, he's taking it out of his nest egg. Then Social Security kicks in. He doesn't have to take quite so much out of his nest egg. It looks like in every situation except this really extreme case, 1929, your money would still last 20 years, but you'd be down to 87,000 at that point and be just about ready to run out of money the very next year. Every other scenario, folks, look at this graph. Again, this is $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. That's how much you would have starting out with just under $1 million. You have all kinds of money, so you could take out more. But we want to run the numbers to see how's he looking, a 58-year-old with this kind of savings, doing a 60-40 split and needing $5,800 a month, which would be basically $70,000 a year. Where would he be after these time periods? When we take into account the second, third decades, you probably need less. That's just the way expenses generally are. And if you take negative COLAs, these are the numbers, how they work out. You have a success rate 100% of the time when we do it with these numbers. Folks, that's what we do on this channel. We love running numbers for people. Please consider subscribing, sharing this channel. Let people know there's videos, all kinds of videos showing important financial concepts, and we use spreadsheets with actual numbers of what's actually happened in the last 100 years, and we look at the worst case scenarios, and we figure if it survives in the worst case scenarios, like we saw right here, it survived every single year except after 20 years in 1929 numbers. All these other years, you'll be just fine. So that's what we love to do, is run numbers for people. Please consider subscribing. Please share, like the videos, and thanks so much for watching.